Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're talking about week 4 Survivor. Of course, if you made it that far. Just going to quickly recap what we've used so far this season. So, in week 1, we ended up using Arizona, who is 2-2, which is good. We didn't use a team with a winning record. In week 2, we used the Ravens, who actually are a great team, but have a losing record, surprisingly, at 1-2. Last week we chose the Bucks, who are 3-0, and actually have come back all 3 games, which was a great pick. And we did mention during the Thursday night showdown game that you could use the Bills, but I didn't use them as my survivor pick. And then week 3 was also interesting because there were some major upsets that knocked out people. For example, a lot of people got knocked out with that Packers game. The Packers losing to the Browns. That knocked out a lot of people in my pool. As well as the Carolina Panthers spanking the Atlanta Falcons very badly. So there were some eliminations in my pool. I don't know if you're still alive in your pool or not, but we're going to discuss week 4 right now and who we like. All right. So we're going to skip the Dublin game. We're not going to talk about the Dublin game. We can start off with the Saints versus the Bills. The Bills are heavy favorites in this game, favored by 14.5 points. They should smoke the Saints. The Saints cannot move the ball. Even though the Bills have injuries, they should be able to stomp them pretty badly. The Bills actually have an implied total of over 30 points alone. So I would say this is going to be a cakewalk for the Bills, especially being a home game. Not using the Bills as my survivor pick because I would like to save them for later on now because in week 5, bye week starts, so you need to consider that when you're playing survivor. So if you have the Bills, you can use the Bills for a survivor pick. They're a great pick, but I'm not going to use them. I'm saving them. Okay, next game you have the Titans versus the Texans. The Texans surprisingly struggling very badly this year. The Titans expected to be a weaker team, of course. I'm going to stay away from this game. I do think the Texans will win this game at home, but I'm not going to choose it for Survivor. Browns at the Detroit Lions. Okay, the Browns shocked everybody, beating the Packers last week, which was great. That run defense came through for them, and you know what? They won the game, and it knocked out a lot of people. Lions, they are just a juggernaut on offense. I do expect the Lions to win, but I'm going to save the Lions also for later on in Survivor. You have the Washington Commanders versus the Atlanta Falcons up next. The Washington Commanders have announced that Terry McLaurin will not play and quarterback Jaden McDaniels will not play. Those are some injuries that obviously need to be taken into consideration. The Falcons are coming off an embarrassing loss, so I would expect them to come out hard for this game. So I'm avoiding this game. I won't be choosing this game. After that, we got the Eagles versus the Bucks. Okay, the Bucks actually caused the Eagles lots of problems over the years. The Bucks should be getting Tristan Wirfs back and possibly Chris Godwin, which would be huge for their offense in Baker Mayfield. The Eagles lost Lane Johnson to an injury last week, and it's unsure if he will play this week. So that could hurt Saquon Barkley in the running game. It's just a game that I'm just not going to touch at the moment. Then you have the Carolina Panthers versus the New England Patriots. The Patriots are playing their second game in a row at home, and they lost a tough game to Pittsburgh last week. So I think the Patriots should bounce back, especially with Christian Gonzalez coming back. He's expected to return from his hamstring injury, which will help out their secondary. So I would like the Patriots to beat up on the Panthers, but I'm not using that game either for a survivor pick. Chargers versus the Giants. Chargers got to travel across country, and they're facing Dart is replacing Russell Wilson at quarterback. So it's an unknown variable. You don't really know what you're going to get yet. Usually when those kind of things happen, I don't like to bet on those games because I want to see what that player has to offer, how that offense will function with him. Can they drive the ball? Can they not drive the ball? So I'm going to stay away from that Chargers game, but I do like the Chargers. But I would not be surprised if the Chargers had a letdown and lost to the Giants, but I'm still saying straight up on money line, I would go Chargers. Jacksonville Jaguars versus the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers, they are the most hurt team in the NFL. They lost Nick Bosa last week. George Kittle is not going to play. Brandon Ayuk is not going to play. And it looks like Jawan Jennings will not play in this game. But Brock Purdy should be back. And Mac Jones will go back to the bench. So there's a lot of moving parts. I would want to see how this Niners team functions at first. I think the Niners will win the game. But the Jaguars are actually a better team than what people give them credit for. So I'm going to pass on that game for a survivor pick. Okay. Next, you have the Colts taking on the Rams. The Rams, heartbreaking loss to the Eagles last week. I definitely think they are going to come out fired up and play a great game against the Colts and likely win this game. But I'm going to stay away from that game because I would like to keep the Rams for later on in the season if I can. Bears versus Raiders. These are two teams whose future is very much, let's just say, unknown at the moment. The Bears could do well with Ben Johnson. They seem to be improving, but their secondary still can't stop anybody. And the Raiders' offense can't score. So with that weak offensive line, Genty can't really move the ball. It's one of those ones I still don't want to touch. I want to see how these teams progress in the next week or two. So I'm going to avoid that game. Ravens versus the Chiefs. I can't take the Ravens if I'm staying true to the channel because I took the Ravens in week 2. I do think the Ravens will win this game straight up versus the Chiefs, but I'm avoiding this game. Next game is the Packers. Packers coming off a heartbreaking loss, knocked out a lot of people. So it would be a good opportunity for them to bounce back against the Cowboys, especially with Micah Parsons coming back to Dallas after the trade, and the Cowboys lost CeeDee Lamb. That'll be another factor in this game. I do like the Packers, but not the game that I'm going to target for Survivor. Okay, Monday night, we got 2 games. You got the Jets versus the Dolphins. Honestly, these are just 2 terrible teams. Okay, so we're just going to avoid this game. I wouldn't use either one of these teams. Okay, finally, comes down to the Bengals and Broncos. This is the game that I'm targeting for my Survivor pick. The Bengals can't stop anybody on defense. The offense without Joe Burrow is not the same. So Chase and Higgins are not as much of a threat. And the Broncos have an elite defense. This game is also being played in Denver, which is always harder to play in the high altitude. I like the Broncos in this game. So if you're looking for a Survivor pick for this week, I'm going with the Broncos. They're 7.5 favorites. They should win this game, I would think, pretty handily. So if you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.